Jaya Gopiyana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Yashodanandana Vrajayanarayana Yashodanandana Vrajayanarayana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopiyana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajayanarayana Yashodanandana Vrajayanarayana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gara Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Shri Nam Sankirtan Ki Janam Go Brahmanande Hare Krishna. We will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Before starting, we should offer moments. Om Gyan Timirandasya Jnananjan Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhaitam Savadhutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नष्टकी। जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन ललिता विशाखा सखी वृंद की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम गौर निताय की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय। नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter first, chapter entitled as The Manus, Administrators of the Universe. We'll read text 12. You can recite after me. न यस्याद्यन्तो मध्यं च स्वपरो नान्तरं बहिः विश्वस्य मुनि यद्यस्मात् विश्वं च तदृशं महत् विश्वं च तदृतं महत् न यस्याद्यनन्तमद्यं च स्वपरो नान्तरं बहिः विश्वस्य मुनि यस्मात् विश्वं च तदृतं महत् न यस्याद्यन्तमध्यं च स्वपरो अनन्तरं बहिः विश्वस्य मुनि यस्मात् विश्वं च तदृतं महत्। माताजी word by word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Acharnarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Na, neither. Yasya, of whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adi, a beginning. Anto, end. Madhyam, middle. Cha, also. Swa, own. Para, others. Na, not. Antaram, inside. Bahi, outside. Vishwasya, of the whole cosmic manifestation. Amuni, all such considerations. Yat, whose form. Yashmat, from him who is the cause of everything. Vishram, the whole universe. Cha, and Tat, all of them. Ritam, truth. Mahat, very, very great. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning, no end, no middle. What is Sanskrit? Na yash, adya, anto, and madhyam. He does not have beginning, he does not have anto, end, and the madhyam middle. Nor does he belongs to a particular person or nation. He has no inside or outside. No inside and outside means in Sanskrit antar bahi. And Prabhupada this paro, para others. Okay. Prabhupada has written in translation. He does not belong to particular person or nation. So this word is, I think it's not there in translation, but Prabhupada has written. Has no inside and outside. The dualities found within this material world, such as beginning and end, mine and theirs, are all absent from the personality of the Supreme Lord. The universe which emanates from him is another feature of the Lord. Therefore the Supreme Lord is the ultimate truth, and he is complete in greatness. You can recite after me. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning, no end, no middle, nor does he belong to a particular person or nation. He has no inside or outside. The dualities found within this material world, such as beginning and end, mine and theirs, are all absent from the personality of the Supreme Lord. The universe which emanates from him is another feature of the Lord. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the ultimate truth, and he is complete in greatness. So we know this section, that how Swayambhu Manu is performing austerity and he is glorifying the Supreme Lord or praying to the Supreme Lord with these wonderful prayers. We'll see Prabhupada purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is described in Brahma Samhita, 5th chapter, verse 1st. Ishvara Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. Ishvara Param Krishna. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Humanity time people ask this. Ah, God is the cause of all causes, then who is the cause of God? So this question is wrong, because by definition only, uh, whom we call as Bhagwan is one who does not have any cause. He is the cause of all causes. If somebody asks the question that who is the cause of Bhagwan, then it means the question is wrong. Because he didn't understand the uh, meaning or the definition of Bhagwan. So he has no other origin. He is the prime cause of all causes. For the Lord's existence, there is no cause, for he is the cause of everything. He is in everything. Maya tatam idam sarvam. Bhagavad Gita 9 chapter 4th verse. He is expanded in everything. But he is not everything. He is expanded in everything, but he is not everything. Like uh, this is another conception that people had, this that if the Lord is all pervading, then everything can be accepted as Lord. You know, like they have conception of um, this Narayan. Uh, everybody is Narayan. So here uh, he is in everything. He is expanded in everything, but he is not everything. Yeah, everything is the manifestation of his energy, but everything cannot be accepted as Supreme Lord. At the same time, because he is the everything is the expansion of Supreme Lord, it could be or it should be accepted as Supreme Lord. So therefore, further Prabhupada writes, he is Achintya Bheda Bhed, simultaneously one and different. This is the only philosophy which can answer all the questions. Achintya, which cannot be perceived or which cannot be explained, uh, which is beyond our conception, is Achintya Bheda Bhed. At the same time, the Lord is, the Supreme Lord is all pervaded, but everything cannot be accepted as Supreme Lord. That is explained in this verse. In the material condition, we have the conception of beginning, end, and middle, but for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no such thing. Yeah. So these Personality of Godhead or the Bhagwan, that he does not have Anadi Radir Govinda, he does not have beginning, he does not have end. Um, it's very nice point that how everything in material world is accepted to have some beginning, will have some end. But Krishna does not fall in that category. Uh, he is beyond this rule. But for the personality of Godhead, there is no such thing. The universal cosmic manifestation is also the Virat Roop that was shown to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, since the Lord is present everywhere and all the time, he is the absolute truth, the greatest, the complete in greatness. God is great, and how he is great is explained here. So this is a short purport by Srila Prabhupada. So before speaking anything on this verse, because this verse is little difficult or very difficult for me to speak something, because this is the tendency whenever we find the glorification of the Supreme Lord, we are not able to speak much, or we are not able to get interest. So, but by the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas, I will try something to speak relevant and for my purification. So, in the translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning, no end, no middle, nor does he belongs to particular uh, person or nation. So, similar verse we find in Bhagavad Gita also. Arjuna is glorifying Krishna with similar prayers. Anybody remembers that prayers? Yeah? Huh? I think 11.16. Yeah, 11.16. Arjuna is telling that when Krishna showed his universal form, uh, then Arjuna was praying like na antam na madhyam na punastvadim pashyami vishveshwar vishwamurt rupa. Then how that when Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna, then why Krishna showed universal form to Arjuna? Yeah, he requested why he requested. Okay, he will not, everybody will not, other will not believe, or also to assure Arjuna for that he is the supreme person, the controller and the proprietor of everything or everyone. So Krishna showed his universal form, and by seeing that form, Arjuna was convinced. When he saw that everything is going into the mouth of the Supreme Lord, everybody or everyone is annihilated. Uh, Krishna at the time is annihilating everyone. Then Arjuna was assured. Uh, and then he requested Krishna to show his simple two-handed form. So these type of descriptions are there where the Supreme Lord is described in something very inconceivable way, which is not which we cannot conceive or we cannot understand through our material intelligence. Like when Krishna is described as having anek bahudar vakra netram, so how we can understand that he has so many eyes, so many faces, so many hands, thousands leg, belly. So it's very difficult to imagine some personality who is having this type of form. So therefore it's not it's therefore he is called adhokshaj, one who cannot be understand through our material senses. And the purpose of these sections has been described like many a times when in the second canto we will read, in 11th canto we will read, there we will find the description. These descriptions are there, and the purpose of these descriptions is being established there. Like I was going through 11th canto, Uddhav Gita. There also we read this. There is one uh, verse where Krishna is telling Uddhava the purpose of these types of descriptions. Yeah, actually, the first purpose is like um these descriptions helps one's material intelligence uh, to uh, to satisfy. Like it has been described here. Hmm. This is 11th canto. Krishna is saying, Uddhava, until one's mind is fixed in spiritual satisfaction, one should analytically study the temporary nature of material objects, whether cosmic, earthly, or atomic. One should constantly observe the process of creation through the natural progressive function and process of annihilation through the regressive function. Until one has established one's consciousness on the liberated platform of perfect knowledge, one must constantly ward off the attacks of illusion through the rigid analytic observation of the material nature. So, this type of description where Krishna has been described as all pervading, supreme soul of whole creation, the purpose is to establish the supreme authority of the Lord. And by reading these descriptions, the person who is situated on the bodily platform or who is having material conception, what will happen? He will able to gradually be convinced about the authority and gradually surrender to the Supreme Lord. Just like yesterday, Prabhu was describing in yesterday's class that how these descriptions helps one uh, to understand the omniscient nature of the Supreme Lord, that how the Lord is all pervading. And by reading and understanding these description, what happens? One develop his surrender to the Supreme Lord, and that is the beginning of one's spiritual life, that he surrenders himself to the Supreme Lord. And another thing we are reading in this section about the austerity of Swayambhu Manu, that he before creation, uh, like after retiring from his kingly duties, he went and performed the austerity. So there are several purposes of performing austerity or taking hardships in one's devotional life. Especially this austerity, it helps ones to it acts in three way. Like one has to perform the austerity for purify the senses, to purify the mind and purify intelligence. And there are different ways to have this purification. Just like purification of the senses, the purification of the material senses. जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन ललिता विशाखा शक्ति वृंद की जय, श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम गौर निताई की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय, नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय. So the purpose of the austerity is to purify the senses, mind and intelligence. So this the senses, the material senses can be purified by practical devotional services. Practical devotional services by physically engaging ourselves in various devotional activities. And one of the best ways to have the deity worship, because deity worship where we come in direct contact with the form of the Supreme Lord. So this is the way to purify one's body, and the mind is purified by chanting attentively. Not just chanting, because chanting helps, but until and unless one chant attentively, he will not able to get the proper benefit of chanting. And the intelligence is purified by reading scriptures regularly. So this is the purpose of austerity. Recently I was hearing from His Holiness Bhakti Char Swami Guru Maharaj, and he was talking about this Ekadashi. So this is one of the recent lecture Guru Maharaj he was taking, speaking from Uddhav Gita. So he was telling like this Ekadashi is the day of fasting, and everybody is supposed to fast. Not just he was telling that now in ISKCON that this Ekadashi, rather than fast, it has become feast, Ekadashi feast. So, but he was very seriously putting this point that how the Ekadashi should be observed very seriously. One should fast completely. Um, so, this type of austerities, they help one to establish in devotional service. But in Uddhav Gita, very nice point come regarding this austerity, which helps one to regulate the senses and mind. What should be the level of austerity, or what should be the level of one's how much one should extend himself, that has been described there, especially in regard to controlling the mind, है ना? Because we can see that how this practice of austerity is meant for purifying the senses and purifying the mind as well. How it purifies the mind? Because when we do austerity, or when we take some vows, devotional vows, what happens? Then we are able to see the craving of the mind. Uh, at the bodily level we may be satisfied, but we will see the nature of the mind. So therefore he is telling, yeah, whenever the mind being concentrated on the spiritual platform, it is suddenly deviated from its spiritual position. One should carefully bring it under the control of the self by following the prescribed means. What is the prescribed mean? The chanting of the holy name of the Lord, through the chanting or by through devotional services. One should never lose sight of the actual goal of mental activities. One should not lose sight of actual goal of mental activity, but rather conquering the life here and senses and utilizing intelligence is strengthened by the mode of goodness. This is very important point, that the intelligence is strengthened by the mode of goodness. One should bring the mind under the control of the self. Therefore, like it has been told that before practicing devotional service, one should at least try to come to the platform of mode of goodness. Like we have this, like Vaishnavism or devotional service, they are transcendental. So it's not transcendental, they are transcendental, but for us, because we are binded by the modes of material nature, they are transcendental, but we are not able to accept them as transcendental activities. So therefore, it has been recommended that at least one should try to gradually one should try to surpass the mode of ignorance, passion, and at least come to the mode of goodness. And from the mode of goodness, one can transcend the three modes. It's not directly from mode of ignorance one will directly jump to or transcend the three modes of material nature. It's not so easy. One like sometimes we make plans to have some very strict vows, but because we are not situated in the mode of goodness, we are not able to follow these vows for longer time. है ना? Because this is one of the symptom of mode of goodness, to have determination. So we lose our focus. Therefore, it is being told that as one should keep sight of the mental activities, what is going in the mind, and but rather conquering the, okay, sorry, utilizing the intelligence strengthened by the mode of goodness, one should bring the mind under the control of the self. Yeah, so one should practice to bring oneself to the mode of goodness, and through that he will able to easily surpass the three modes of material nature. And a very wonderful point is being suggested, that how we can do that. The best solution is to keep the mind always busy in the service of Krishna, so that the mind cannot wander onto the dangerous path of sense gratification, headed by sex attraction. The material mind is naturally inclined to accept material object at every moment. Therefore, unless the mind is seriously brought under control, there is no possibility of becoming steady on the path of spiritual advancement. Yeah, and he is telling the way to control the mind. Very, very important. I've just recently read it and find it quite useful and something very new, that to my experience. So Krishna is telling to Uddhava, these are the direct instructions from Krishna. So he's telling, he was giving the example of an expert horseman. He's telling an expert horseman desiring to tame a headstrong horse, अगर बहुत ही हेडस्ट्रॉन्ग एग्रेसिव, बहुत ज्यादा तेज अगर घोड़ा है, तो हाउ वन शुड कंट्रोल इट? First, lets the horse have his way for a moment. What we should do, just like you would have seen that if you would have sit in this horse cart, in horse cart how they used to move, huh? Hmm? That gradually sometimes they are losing the this rein, and sometimes they are pulling it. So this wonderful analogy, that uh, first let the horse have his way for a moment, and then pulling the reins gradually places the horse on the desired path. What is happening? Means he is allowing the horse to move, and when the horse is moving on the wrong way, then he pulls the reins. So this is the way actually. Until unless we does not allow the mind to have its own space, we will not able to understand the nature of the mind. And if we are not able to understand the nature of the mind, we are not able to control it, or uh, put it on the right track. Pulling the reins gradually places the horse on the desired path. Similarly, the supreme yoga process is that by which one carefully observes the movements and desires of the mind and gradually bring them under full control. So this is the way. So Okay, let's take this example. Let's meditate on this example more. Like the horse is moving, and you are having the reins, uh, and if you pull too much, then what will happen? If you push too much reins of the horse, then what will happen? Huh? It will buck you off, means he will jump off. Yeah. Why? Because the his nose is bind with that rope. So if you pull too much, then what will happen? It will just आपको फेंक देगा उठा के घोड़ा. And the horse will throw you up. Rather than controlling the horse, you will become a victim of that horse. So similarly with the mind also, he is explaining further. An expert yogi allows the mind to reveal its materialistic propensities and then control them through superior intelligence. Very, very practical and very important point. That an expert yogi is one who allows the mind to reveal its materialistic property. It does not suppress it. Ah, because that suppressing the propensities of the mind may help for the time being, but will not be quite much useful for longer way. Therefore we see sometimes uh, many newcomers, they're very enthusiastic, uh, but they are not able to move for the longer time. Why? They sometimes too much pull up the reins of the horse and horse jump off. The many times they practice for some time, and other they become animical. They become opposed to Krishna conscious process also. So this happens because of controlling or trying to control the mind in a wrong way. Hmm. A learned transcendentalist withhold and supplies sense objects so that the mind and senses remain. Therefore, you see in Krishna conscious practice, we does not have this dry austerities. Dry austerities means austerities which are not meant for pleasing Krishna. Ah, and many a times we practice and we enter into this zone without recognizing that whether these austerities are actually pleasing Krishna or not, pleasing devotees or not. If they are not, then what will happen? They will be like dry austerities. So there, here it is being said, the mind should be supplied with uh, uh, means we should be in a balanced way. Just as the horseman sometimes pulls sharply on the rein and sometimes allow the horse to run freely. The rider never forgets the actual goal or destination and eventually places the horse on the right path. So this is the way that an expert yogi, he is always focused on his goal to go back to Godhead. Ah. At the same time, he should be very expert and patiently driving the horse to or the driving the mind back to Godhead. Even though sometimes allowing the senses to act, never forget the goal of self-realization. So this is the balanced way in which an expert yogi can ride the uh, horse-like mind. Nor does he allows the senses to engage in sinful activities. Yeah, so it's very much very much important to how much we should lose and how much we should tight. That should be very much carefully understood. Excessive austerity or restriction may result in great mental disturbances. Just as pulling excessively on the rein of the horse may cause horse to rear up against the rider. The path of self-realization depends upon clear intelligence, and easiest way to acquire such expertise is surrender to Krishna. So how much to pull and how much to lose, it's very difficult to decide. So therefore at last he is suggesting the best expertise to acquire such expertise is to surrender to Krishna. Because surrender to Krishna, and then he is quoting this verse that dadami buddhi yogam tam yen mam upayanti te. That when once somebody is focused in his goal of attaining Krishna and riding his mind back on the path back to Godhead and working to please Krishna, then what will happen? the Krishna will provide that clear intelligence, because that clear intelligence is not mundane intelligence, is not material intelligence. And that clear intelligence can only be guided and provided by Krishna only. So therefore he is saying that one should constantly engage in devotional services tesham satat yuktanam bhajatam priti purma. One should constantly be engaged in loving devotional service, and then Krishna will dadami buddhi yogam, that Krishna will give that clear intelligence. Expertly riding the waves of mental desire, a Krishna conscious person does not fall from the saddle, and he eventually rides all the way back to home, back to Godhead. So this is wonderful, wonderful translation and purport from 11th canto, which describes about that how one should perform the austerity, how one should expertly control the control his mind. And we discussed about that by reading these section, how one could able to understand the greatness of the supreme personality of the Lord, supreme personality of Godhead. Knowing his greatness, he surrenders to him, uh, and practices devotional service. And also, uh, by reading these sections, one will able to develop the right way or right vision to see Supreme Lord and the things related to Supreme Lord. So these were few thoughts on this verse. So if anybody has any question, somebody, or any comment, or any somebody wants to add something, then Hare Krishna. Yes, bro. Yes, bro. Tell me that are. I could not able to hear. No, no, this is from 11th canto. Yeah, Krishna is giving this wonderful example. Chapter, this is I think 21st chapter. I will share this reference. This is very something very new and very practical also. Very nice example. Okay, thank you very much. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.